Hey, it's Fitz, and if you don't know who I am, here's a quick bio. I'm a veteran sports journalist who writes, does TV, radio, daily YouTube videos, and I'm a longtime podcaster. Also, I have metastatic stage 4 prostate cancer that came out of remission in 2023. During the pandemic, my doctors advised me to stay at home, and the Life of Fitz podcast was born. 5 years later, I'm back in my cancer battle and continuing this podcast with season 6. As I call the many people I've met through my 35 years in sports journalism, and those who are involved in my cancer journey. Plus, we'll add in a few friends we've met along the way who are facing their own obstacles in life. Welcome to my life and the Life of Fitz podcast. Presented by the great people at Blueville Nursery in Manhattan. I'd like to tell you that the guests on this podcast are well planned out. A lot of thought goes into organizing the entire schedule. And I got to admit, in the 6th season, I finally kind of figured it out. I was cruising along. The first 75% of this season were planned out. In fact, I had Big 12 media days and a concert and vacation in the middle of July. I even thought ahead and booked those out and recorded in advance. I got back from vacation and realized, hey, I got nobody for Monday. I got no one. I'm trying to think. We're getting down to the heart of the schedule now. We're football season's coming up. We got to get some good guests. Let's get a former player. Well, thank goodness. My friend Brian Hanley connected me with Damion McIntosh, who jumped right on and got this recorded. And he is absolutely wonderful. One of the great stories in K-State football. This is a kid that came in out of South Florida, played both defensive and offensive line in high school, and was open to either one. But when he arrived at K-State, he played defensive tackle, becoming an all Big 12 defensive tackle. Once the Big 12 had been formed, he signed with a Big 8 school and ended up playing at a Big 12 school. And then his senior season, Kansas State didn't have an offensive tackle, a left tackle that they felt good about. So Coach Snyder asked Damion McIntosh to flip sides of the ball, and after being an all-conference performer at defensive tackle, to become an offensive tackle for one season. Well, it worked. He was not only exceptional at offensive tackle, despite not playing it since high school, he went on to be drafted in the 3rd round by the San Diego Chargers and just played 10 years in the NFL. Now back home in South Florida, where he volunteers coaching and manages some other business interests, Damion carved out some time for us in a very busy schedule as he was headed to Manhattan just days after this recording. And as you watch this, he's in Manhattan for the first time in about 10 years as he's talking to the Kansas State football team. But before he left, he made time for us. So now let's call former Kansas State offensive tackle and defensive tackle Damion McIntosh in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And now from the great state of Florida, my home state, little known fact, Damion McIntosh. Damion, appreciate it. Short notice, I got you on. I feel like I won the lottery.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. So I look forward to this interview and having a good time with it.
Yep, and it's football season as we record this on Wednesday the 23rd. Football camp opened at Kansas State, and as people view this on the following Monday, you're actually in Manhattan for the first time in almost 10 years. We talked about it before we started, but recap what you're doing and how it all set up.
Yeah, old friend of mine, Joe Hall, reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to come in and speak with the boys, and I enjoy, doing that type of stuff, and they were able to get it done, and I'll be flying in, talking to the boys on Monday, kind of share my experiences and just kind of mentorship type of thing, and whatever they want to ask me as an older affiliate from K-State, and get my views and things of that nature. And if I am able to help some of them, that'd be great.
Yeah. Saying you're older makes me feel really old because I covered you. It's kind of funny. Your career follows my career. In 95, I helped the Wichita Eagles start up a magazine covering K-State sports. In 98, we started our own Power Cat Illustrated. which has now morphed into
Yep.
gopowercat.com as print slowly dies. But I was there when Damion McIntosh played. That's how old I am. But you were a hell of a football
Oh, you
player.
made me sound ancient now.
That makes me more ancient. But
The good old days.
yeah, and we were discussing how much it's changed. But let's go back to when you arrived. Our mutual friend Brian Hanley sent me a clip of you talking about your visit with Nick Saban at Michigan State. That is an unbelievable story. But you ended up at K-State. How did that come about with you landing from Florida to Manhattan, Kansas?
Well, I had Bobby Stoops at the time. It was DC at K-State, was recruiting from Palm Beach on down to Miami. I was one of his recruits that he was going after. Coach Levitt was doing the west side of Florida, which was St. Pete and those Tampa area. Those guys were very convincing and heavy on us. Um, yeah, I took visits out to Florida State, Michigan State. I uh, I verbally committed to University of Miami my junior year. Um, at that time, I was coming out in '95. They went on probation, so they lost all the scholarships at that time. So I saw my options. I took a visit out to K State. My parents loved the interaction with Coach Stoops. Coach Stoops was an awesome guy, awesome mentor as well. So it felt comfortable making that change. A kid that grew up here in South Florida, never been in the Midwest. So, I was kind of excited for the unknown. I did feel more comfortable that there was more kids that were from Florida that was on the squad previously. Eric Hickson, Mike Lawrence,
Yep.
those guys were from my area, so I had a lot of things that I had connections with them. So the move was a lot easier to do, being transplanted from Florida to the state of Kansas. Yeah, and I was there for 5 years, and it was really good. The community was awesome. Um, love, they were very accepting. Everybody that I've met, interacted with throughout the years, I had awesome experience there. As a young kid growing up, going through the whole thing as far as school, um, playing ball, and growing and maturing. So it was a great experience.
What a time to join Kansas State sports. You played such a significant role in the emergence of football. They had gone to a couple bowls, but then the fun times arrived with the junior college recruiting class in 97. But when you arrived at K-State, what were your initial thoughts? Because the program was still building. It still had facilities to manage, and it quite wasn't there with the Miami or some of the other big programs.
Right. So, at that time I was going through the recruiting process, first thing I would do is just see what they had on the roster,
Yeah.
especially the positions that I wanted to play. The problem with me though, I don't think there was no set position for me because I was marked as athlete because I played offense and defensive line. So, I just was looking to see where I can benefit and help the soonest. Um, when I got there, they kind of had me with I came in as an old lineman. Um, Defensive line coach said, "Hey, if you guys aren't using them, bring them over here." And I was over there with Coach Mo Lattimore, and I benefited over there for 3 years. Lettered and became all Big 12 defensive three technique. I was always marked as the emergency officer lineman just in case, but we had a lot of older guys that uh, filled the role quite well. Todd Weiner, who's also from
Yeah.
Florida, went to Taravella. And some other guys, Ryan Young, we used to call him Shaq. So when those guys left, and that was during my going into my senior year. Coach Snyder during going to spring practice asked me if I could fill in. They were bringing in some junior college kids. They weren't quite ready yet, and I ended up being the starting left tackle and played offensive left tackle my senior year, my 5th year there. Uh, from there on, we won the Holiday Bowl. I think we finished season 11-1,
Something
and
like that. Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty much the how things went there. When I was there, we were always ranked high and finished, very well. It was a good decision, I think. After I look back, and and as far as that, and then went to the combine. Found myself doing both drills in the combine. I was the only one that would do offensive drill and then be called over and go do defensive line drills in Indianapolis. So I did that. And going into the draft, I wasn't too sure if I was going to draft it offense or defense, but San Diego gave me the call around the 3rd round. And I spoke with Coach Joe Bugle, who was my position coach going in. The head coach was Mike Riley. And that was my start. And from there on, my defensive line days were over. I was offensive left. I was groomed to be offensive left tackle, and I played 10 years at that. So
It's absolutely amazing. I can't even imagine a player doing that nowadays. I mean, you see quarterbacks end up at receiver or tight end, but going from D line to O line and starting and basically playing at an extremely high level like you did is crazy. It had to be a physical challenge too, because everything your body had to kind of relearn that drop step and all that other stuff that you hadn't been doing for the past 3 years.
well, what made it easy? Growing up here in South Florida, I was a kid that I never played football till I got to high school. So I played baseball and I was involved in other sports. So as far as adjusting to technique and all that, that to me is it's almost like you just getting used to playing street sports and stuff like that. As long as it's an activity, I was able to adapt. I enjoy the challenge. I was very, I guess, athletic for a big boy. I was always been big. Younger, I was bigger than everybody. I was that type of kid that you had to see Can I see his birth certificate? Because he's taller than some of the coaches at 12 years old. I'm like, what the hell? So to me, that was normal. Um, and like I said, going out to K-State, I was open to it because I did in high school. I played both ways. That was just something that it came natural for me at a younger age. Yes, as I gotten older, uh, yeah, I became more accustomed to staying at left tackle, that type of stuff, and making a change later on would have been a little more difficult. But at a younger age, it's easier to do it then.
It's so impressive. I can hear Mo Lattimore right now. Hey man, if you're not using that guy, you can bring him over here. I can use him on defense.
That's you gave me chills. That almost sounds just like me.
It's the one impression I can nail. And I think it's because right around when you arrived, used to have to walk up that long ramp to Bramlage Coliseum to get to the athletic department, the offices up there, and the practice fields are down the hill. And
Yeah.
the only thing I could hear was, "Hey man, get your ass over here!" Just Mo Lattimore's voice cutting through space and time.
It's distinctive. He's been there for so long, and yeah, without him, it doesn't seem the same. Um, yeah, he was he was one of the coaches I've had for the longest. Great guy. He challenged me, yeah, and he made me really push myself, to do well at that position. And I learned a lot from him as well. So I'm very appreciative to have the time that I had with him.
Mo's a great person, just an amazing person.
Yeah.
And
Great family and everything.
Mhm.
I love every single one of them. His kids, his wife is awesome.
Yep.
So over the years, they keep in touch with me as well, and I love it.
Good. That is such a weird situation to be doing both positions at. I can't think of anyone who's done that. I mean, usually they designate you're going to be this at the combine.
Well,
that had to be
yeah.
absolutely crazy, though. That's a physical and mental stress in a really important setting.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it was fun. It was fun for me. The other person I seen do it at K-State was Chris Candy, and I know he was sparingly used as a receiver, but the guy was so dynamic. I saw him do it at his position. But as far as lineman wise, you know what? I really didn't even think about it then. It it was a normal situation for me, and I was, they presented it to me. I was open to it. I was like, yeah. I was like, where you need me at? Oh,
Awesome.
do defensive tackle. I'm like, okay, and I go do it, and do offensive tackle. And then it just the whole realm of just competing was the main thing, and I enjoy doing it. So it wasn't that hard for me to do the switch as long as I knew what I was doing. As far as assignment wise, I was able to go.
You started at the Chargers. Tell me about your stop in San Diego. That's not a bad place to start your college or
Yeah,
your NFL career.
I think it was awesome
Yeah,
coming out of a college environment. San Diego as a switch up for me was a great change. Now, granted, it was further away from home.
yeah.
Me being an East Coast South Florida kid, but San Diego grew on me. I was there for 4 years. When I got there, I was surrounded by a lot of vets. Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison. My starting quarterback was Jim Harbaugh. Things of that nature. Receivers, Jeff Graham, Curtis Conway. So I had great players around me that I learned from, that really prepped me to have a mindset to try to have a long career, how to be a pro in the professional realm, and what to expect.
Did Ben Lieber arrive before you left in San Diego?
I played with Ben. Ben came to San Diego. I want to say
2002?
probably 2001 or two.
I
We
think one was
drafted
his
him.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so we San Diego drafted him. We were teammates in San Diego, so that was cool. I was like, okay. And then when I got to San Diego, other players like Kendall Jaycox was already there.
True.
So there was familiar faces that was there from K State that was on San Diego, which made it awesome. So as far as seeing former teammates and current teammates, um, there, that made it really cool to be there in San Diego at the time. Um, Man, I was all over the area of San Diego. I kind of still miss it. I got a lot of friends that I still have there that still are there. So whenever I'm in the area, I still visit. So it's still a part of me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But you got to go home. Your next stop was Miami. That had to be really cool to go back and play for the hometown team.
Oh yeah, my mom and dad are here. Both my sisters with their families, they're here. You know, um, I grew up in South Florida when all we had was the Dolphins and University of Miami, that type of thing. Then now I've been here where we didn't have a baseball team. Now all of a sudden we got the Marlins. So I clutched onto that as a fan. Miami Heat, clutched into that. That I was here for all that experience growing up here. It was an awesome experience. I got to play for a hometown team. Uh, Walking in, I had other players that I played against. Now they're my teammate. JT, Zach Thomas, those guys, Tim Bowen, great guys. Um, I really get excited when I see them even now during the alumni meetings or during games, and run into them. It was a true special experience being back home. Um, I really appreciate that opportunity to be able to come back.
Then you ended up in Kansas City. So you kind of did a full circle thing, didn't you?
Yeah.
What brought that on?
Well, change of coaching here.
Yep.
There was the end of the Saban era, and they were bringing in Cam. Um, I remember Cam was my OC in San Diego, but they were going in a different direction. I ended up getting released here, so right away, right at the beginning of free agency, I heard that Kansas City was interested, and we got that done right away. Herm Edwards was the head coach. And I was excited about that because I heard so much great things about Coach Edwards, and I wanted I was really geeked about a new opportunity, something fresh and new, and it was close to K-State, so it was another familiar grounds. So, other than that, that was almost like coming home again for me.
Yeah.
So, I really did enjoy my time in Kansas City. I ended up staying there for quite a long time, even after I was done playing. So I stayed right in Lee Summit area. Loved it. Neighbors were awesome. I love being in that area, being involved. I did some high school coaching there as well at Lee Summit West. I won one state championship there, so that was awesome. Just a nice transition and a great area to be in.
And it got your foot into coaching a little bit. You're doing some volunteer coaching now back home. And what's it mean to be able to offer that to kids? Honestly, something you didn't have a whole lot of growing up because you came to football late. To be able to be on the instructive side, that's got to be really fulfilling.
Well, even though I started late, I did get to experience some guys. When I did start in high school playing, we had guys like Eric Rett, which was also he went to MacArthur High, and he would come back and speak with us, and that was encouraging sight for guys like that to come back and speak that's done it and just kind of mentor younger guys. And I took that to heart and say, you know what, that's what I want to do as well. So a lot of that, came from guys that's done it prior, and I witnessed it myself. So whether I did it in the high school realm in Lee Summit or here in Florida, it's more of giving back, sharing my knowledge, kind of mentoring younger athletes and helping the ones I can, just to have a better platform, better opportunity to further their education, because it could provide more avenues for that. I don't promise that, all of them will make at the elite status of NFL, but as far as just further giving them an opportunity to pay for schooling and that type of thing, I'll try to do whatever I can to share my knowledge.
That's cool. That's really cool. Do you mind sharing the Nick Saban story again? Because that thing's incredible.
You talking
That
about
thing
Michigan
is
State?
when you went to Michigan State on the visit, then you end up playing for him. Recap that. So that story is just amazing. I can't believe he was that way.
Sure. Well, I mean, honestly, during my recruiting process, um, I just get letters from all over the place. And Michigan State, of course, I never been to these places. So,
Yeah.
um, Michigan State was one of the schools that was recruiting me heavily. Bobby Williams was the coach that was recruiting me from Michigan State. So I was interacting with Bobby a lot. And when I took my official visit to Michigan State, they paired me with Plexico Bears. Plex is from here. So Plex was telling me, "Oh, you don't have to change. You don't even have to change school colors. Michigan State is green and white, just like your high school." And I was like, and what is it, Lansing?
Yeah.
Lansing, Michigan is right.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. It's the first time I've been up there, and I went around campus. So the day I flew out there, showed me around campus. It was very nice. I enjoyed it. Then I was scheduled to have my one-on-one meeting with Coach Saban, and his first time meeting. So I said, all right, great. Now it's excited for that. So at this time, I've already had discussions with Coach Erickson in Miami. I met Coach Bowden down in Florida State. Went there 2, 3 times. My online coach that I had in high school went to Florida State, so that's why I ended up going up there 3 times, even though I was Miami at heart. And then I went up to Michigan State, and when I had my meeting with Coach Saban, how do you like it? I said it's very, very nice. And the type of kid I am is I'm a yes sir, no sir type of guy.
Right.
And you know, I'm not gonna put all my cards out there, but let them know that, hey, listen, I really like my visit. It would be something that I would discuss with my parents, and it would be high uh, on possibilities of where I would go. He wanted an answer right then and there. He wanted me to verbally commit and I didn't feel comfortable with that. So I wasn't that type of kid to, I'm not going to mislead anybody. I'm telling them, no, I'm sorry, coach. I would love to go back home and discuss with my parents and get a feel for it, because in the end, I'm not very familiar with leaving home like that. So I wanted to run it by my parents. Well, that's when things went south, and he kind of gave me some choice words like, who you think you are, and you know, if I was some kind of big shot, and I didn't have any answers for that. I was in shock. And normally you would spend the night and kind of probably fly home the next day. Well, some reason I flew home that same day. And I was like, okay. So that was a different visit for
That's
me.
weird. That's
That
just
was
weird.
in 1995, right?
Yeah.
So when I got home, I told my parents, hey, listen, anybody from Michigan State call here, we're not interested. And my mom, I told her everything that happened, and they're like, all right, we won't deal with it. Regardless if you felt like the place is nice, that was just awkward. And that rubbed me the wrong way. So that was automatically removed from my head. Well, speed the time clock up. It is what is it, 2006? 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I had him for 2 years here. So they hired him. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm already, what, 6 years in the league by this time. So, we're talking about from high school is one, senior year of high school is last when I saw him or interacted with him in any kind of capacity. So I'm in the facility over in Davie here, over at Nova. I'm walking through the hallways, and Coach Saban walks in. This is, I haven't seen him, since I was a kid. So I see him walking towards me, and I'm walking in the hallway, and I was contemplating, should I say something? Say, hey, coach, how are you? And introduce myself, not knowing if he remembers me or not,
Why
not
would
not
you?
wanting to him
Yeah.
to remember me. So I said, hey, coach, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Damion McIntosh. He said, and then he looks at me, he says, I know who you are. I said, okay, great. And he said, and then he walks off, and I'm like, shit, they're gonna cut me. I'm like, I haven't even played with him, and he's gonna cut me from high school. It's just that, you get that sense. He didn't
Yep.
say nothing like that, but it just was. That's
I
how the
agree.
mood was, and that was ever since then. He didn't make it easy for me, and I went out there and tried to do my job.
Right.
It was not the easiest. Number 2 years with him, yeah, I had to make sure I didn't make any kind of excuse for him to try to blame me or pick on me. Or I had thick skin. At that time, I'm an older vet. I knew what I needed to do. I didn't let things like that get to me, but I was very aware of it, very aware. So things happen, and karma, boy, I tell you, whew.
I you know what? The whole the whole power structure switched on him. And in college, he was the boss. NFL, you got to work with your roster.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you're not the boss. The GM's the boss.
yeah.
Um, so that's kind of funny. He's talking about getting back in coaching. I'm like, you know what? You're probably good where you are. You're good on TV. Just do that, because I think the game it's not easy right now. College football is a
Uh,
mess.
Yeah, and mind you, listen, the time he was there, yes, it didn't start off. It's not a fast start, but you could see the progression. Now we had a lot of changes, like in key positions, quarterback, that time, and he might have not gotten to the quarterback right one at the beginning. He wanted Drew, and I played with Drew in San Diego, but we had other guys that try to fill in, AJ Feely, Dante Culpepper. I love Dante. Um, Joey Arrington. You see, I'm saying, so it was a bunch of
Yeah.
names. Nobody that just like grow with the program, and we all just kind of grow together. So it's always change. Um, we drafted Ronnie Brown. I would have loved to have Ricky on a longer term, but as soon as I got here, Ricky got suspended, and it was crazy. I love Ricky. I wish I really got to play with him when he was at his heyday, because I got to play with LT Ladanian, which was
Hmm.
great. So I thought I was coming to another situation, but it just at the time it never came together. We're missing key players or this and that. Coaching changes, because I came under Wanstead initially, and I can't even remember if he got fired or he left. But we had an intern coach. It was a DC at the time, which is how Saban came in the following year, and I had him for the next 2 years. Even though I signed a 6-year contract, I ended up playing 3. I would have loved to be here longer.
But you ended up in Kansas City. You finished
I
up
was,
at Seattle, right?
yeah, Kansas City, and then I did a good portion of my 10th year in Seattle with Jim Moore Jr. A lot of older vets that were there as well. When I got there, they had a lot of injuries going on with the left tackle's position. Um, the offensive line coach that was there, I had him in Kansas City, especially my first year. Uh, and so there was familiarity with that situation. So for me, I was like, okay, let me get my last year in. Um, I can learn the system really quick. If they need my help, they were trying to groom younger players.
Right.
So I spot in, but I'm also helping to try to groom these next kids coming in, which was new to me, but I didn't mind at that time, being a mentor,
Right.
passing on knowledge, helping others, that are just starting off their careers. So, I would have loved to play more. I started 2 games. But my time in Seattle, was great for what they wanted me to do. But by the time that season was over, I knew my body had paid a toll. 10 years, it was wearing on me, and at that time I said, you know what, I can't get myself, my mind, my body and soul to really prep for another season. So I knew that was pretty much it. I made the accomplishment of 10 years. I've seen guys not able to do more than that or as much. So I felt blessed. I was like, all right, listen, I'm good. So I was able to step away from there.
Let's take a short break and hear from our sponsor, Blueville Nursery.
For competitively priced landscape design, irrigation, and lawn maintenance, turn to Blueville Nursery, a family-owned business with more than 50 years of experience. You can trust the Blueville team to design and create a landscape that will accentuate your property's aesthetics. And visit our garden store 6 days a week for the best products in the area. From ornamental trees, shrubs, and flowers, Blueville has it all. Blueville Nursery, located on West Anderson Avenue in Manhattan, Kansas.
Now, let's return to the studio. So many of the guys I know that are former football players, their bodies are just in disarray. How is your holding up? 10 years in the NFL playing left tackle, getting hit basically on every play. It's got to wear out your body. How's that old man body holding up?
I feel like I'm one step into the glue factory right now. It's like a racehorse just trying to stay away from that last leg. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, well, right now, I have my aches and pains, arthritis, and I try to keep up um, uh, with medical staff and that type of stuff that I'm able to. I had a lot of help from a lot of vets that they were able to point me in the right direction and to find the right people for help. You know, yeah, I'm not 100%, but I keep a positive mindset and I'm able to continue. Even when I'm trying to coach, I keep it on a volunteer status. For a matter of fact, my time is more flexible, so that way I'm not asked to be at a place for long periods of time, and schools are able to work with me, so I'm able to recover. and I'm not able to be on my feet as much. As our arthritis is a pain in the butt. So that's
Mhm.
something I live with. There's never such thing as a pain-free day, but so I keep it at a minimum. So I have a high pain tolerance. So, I thank God my wife is able to deal with me. I try not to be a whiny baby.
I am a whiny baby, but uh, one of the most surprising things I've ever heard on this podcast, this is the 6th year of it, was Ben Labor, pretty straight laced guy, talking about marijuana being legal in Minnesota now, and he takes it every day. He takes THC every day because of the aches and pains, and it's something with my cancer I found, great, very helpful too when I can use it legally, and it's amazing how far we've come with that because it really is an amazing drug with just general aches and pains. And I tell people, I don't know if it makes the pain go away or if I just don't give a shit, but it works.
Well, for me, I wasn't introduced to that, to using it for beneficial purposes. When I moved back here to Florida, being that, and then my doctor's the one because I told him I had real problems trying to get sleep because my body is aching and it's
Right.
hard and I stay up late. So he's like, "Hey, have you tried cannabis?" And I was like, "What?"
The
You know,
doctor said that.
that was always like a bad word. Like, "Yeah," in the league, you're like, "Hey, listen, you're not gonna get me busted." So, but other than that, I said, "All right, it's been years." So I said, "All right," I said, "I can try it to try to get rest." So that was introduced, and it's been helping me these last couple of years.
Mhm.
Just having that introduced into what I use in my normal routine to get rest at night. Without it, I normally
Lots of
insomniac.
jerk.
I'm up
Yeah.
all night because my body's talking. I say my body's talking to me, and it's hard for me just to relax. And
Yep.
normally I'm just exhausted and then fall asleep.
Yep.
So yeah, it's needed. It's something you can't use while you're in the league, so those guys
No,
can't benefit from it at all.
I don't understand that. It's not performance enhancing other than turning off the pain, but it's not a narcotic. I don't understand. I think the NBA's come around on it a little bit, but hopefully the NFL does too.
Well, we'll see. It's one of those things that
It's got a stigma.
it does, but so does all the pain meds that they pump us up with.
So much
I
worse.
I'm gonna tell you all the line that we line up and get shot with Toradol. We look like cattle getting shots right before the game, and on top of that, taking heavy pain meds throughout the week just to maintain, and stuff that we've taken that's off the counter now, that they
Yep.
pulled off the counter, that's deemed too dangerous. So I've gone through it all.
It's crazy. It is what you guys sacrificed, but I assume not many regrets with your football career. It took you some. It gave you an amazing life, didn't it?
Well, you have a short window, and you don't know how long that window's going to last. If you're very passionate and you make it a career, you're trying to prolong that career as long as possible. You will never be 100%, but you try to maintain and recover quickly as possible to repeat the process in following season. So it's one of those things. How long do you want to play? How long you think you're able to last? So it's just one of those things. The window's gonna close. It's just when.
Yep. Yep. But boy, you look back over your life, you got to play a sport. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people dream of that, and it comes at it with a price. But it's kind of cool, and it all started at Kansas State, which is being recruited by Florida State and Miami and Michigan State. It's pretty remarkable. In '95, you chose Kansas State. It's kind of amazing how things fell in place.
Yeah, type of people. I mean, uh, to my benefit, I had people like Bobby Stoops that came out to come see me at my high school, discover me. I'm from my knowledge, I think they were looking at somebody else, and they saw me out there and like, who's that kid? So you know, I got lucky. Sometimes you need luck. You need to
Yep.
be discovered, seen, and provided an opportunity. So I played the sport because I enjoyed playing the sport. Did I think I was going to make it to those levels. No, to be honest, I couldn't tell you with a straight face, say, oh, yeah, I thought I was going to be in the league. I did not. When I was in high school, I was very appreciative that it gave me a full scholarship and had all these offers. And I was kind of overwhelmed. Like, oh, wow, these schools really want me. All right, cool. But I grew up in a West Indian household, so it wasn't expected in that path. So, me and my parents and everybody, my family and whole, we kind of, it was new to us with this whole journey. So each step was a new, oh,
Yeah.
it's presenting this. Oh, hey, that now they're projecting me to go to the NFL. I'm like, okay, well, shoot, let's see how this go. All right, next ride. And it's just like, all right, now I'm in the NFL, and that's a new experience. And I was enjoying it, enjoying the now, not thinking ahead, but enjoying it now, and really concentrating on what I was presented with and trying to maximize my opportunities.
That's a great way to live life. I don't care if you're a football player or anything. Enjoy what you're doing. Just invest in that and worry about the future later on. Because I'm a one day at a time kind of guy. But
Gotta be.
you mentioned the West Indian household. You were born in Jamaica. At what point did the family relocate to Florida?
My father came here to the States. My mom, this is late 70s, early 80s.
So you're young.
I was young. My father came here to the States first, and then my mother was finishing up physical therapy school after she had me. So after she was done and was licensed and ready to roll, she came here, joined up with my father. And I remember a young age being like almost elementary school age, being in Miami Gardens and growing up there, then Carroll City, and then eventually up in Pembroke Pines, where they reside right now. So, yeah, growing up and then the community around, always had some kind of West Indian neighbors. So always attached to that. Or my grandparents would fly in from Jamaica and get me, and every summer I'd be, flown down there with them, spend 2, 3 weeks. I forget what hot water feel like, or water pressure at all. So I mean, but being on the island, I really appreciate that, having that experience, because it really allowed me to really grasp onto my culture as well, but also appreciate what I have here in the States and what
Yeah.
my parents had provided. So I never took for granted those type of things. I didn't ask what I didn't really need, type of thing.
True. Oh,
'Cause
very true. So you come to K-State, 95, 96. Those are good teams, but everything changed about Kansas State in 97. When Bill Snyder did something that at the time, it's so strange to say this now, and it's so hard to understand. It was really controversial. He recruited a bunch of JUCO kids to come in, and they were tainted. Those are bad kids. That's the way everyone thought back then. And there's no way they're going to win. 97 team was pretty good, and then 98 was incredibly special. How good were those teams?
those are really good teams. We brought in a bunch of guys that I would say were able to develop experience coming out of JUCO. So there were a lot of them were able to come in and contribute right away. The most popular one is Mike Bishop. Mike came in. We were a very successful program prior to.
Right.
Mike came in, gave us that extra boost to where we wanted to challenge and be one of the elites. And we did that for a couple of years there, especially with him there. And we were challenging, trying to get to that national championship level. But we were able to really come out and perform and really dominate both sides of the ball, to be honest with you. You have guys like Jeff Kelly that we got from JUCO. Those were key guys that came in. Darnell McDonald, a bunch of guys.
It's incredible. It's
They were
incredible.
great players, and really brought the program to an elite status. Then you had guys, me, Darren Howard. We came in as freshmen. Other guys. Brian Henley was a JUCO. I think it was Coffeyville that
Yep.
he came from. So he contributed right away. Play good, play line. So we all meshed. We were able to really gel and really become a very good squad.
It was incredible. It was, and younger fans don't realize this, but before Mike, and certainly with Chad May, the early quarterbacks, Bill Snyder was running the spread.
Yeah.
People think of him as a quarterback run game type of guy, but he wasn't. He was on the front edge of spread offenses doing it at Nebraska, and nobody knew what the hell was going on. There's 5 receivers on the field. The earth is melting. I mean, it was just so counterintuitive to what college football was at the time. Mike comes in, and all of a sudden he starts pulling out wing T crap out of his old mind and just start gaming up, doing things that changed football, not just college football forever. There's a reason why it's called the Wildcat. And it wasn't for a receiver to play. It was because Mike Bishop was an absolute freak.
He was a beast. Mike not only could throw the ball and he could throw the mile and precision, he was a tank back there. He could run. He knew how to run the offense. He was a leader. Great guy to be around. Very positive. You couldn't help but to feed into his positivity, and just want to run through a wall for him. So guys like that, they came in. They came in with a mindset that, hey, we're going to dominate. And be honest with you, we came in with our recruiting group, our group that came in 95. We're pretty confident in ourselves when we came in. We're like, hey, a lot of us were from Florida and we were ready to go. Came in and challenged a lot of the guys that were there and said, hey, it's a new day. But I remember through the recruiting process, I saw the style. You were talking about the style of quarterback, the spread. And I remember watching them, I think it was the Aloha Bowl. And this when I was in high school, and I never seen K-State on TV. They never showed them down here.
No.
So when I saw the bowl game is when I saw it. And it was Chad May, and they were throwing the ball all over the place. I was like, okay, all right. Well, this wouldn't be a bad place to choose. I don't need to go to the known. I need to go somewhere where I could help and make a difference and see growth. And I went to K-State really off of faith. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to walk into. Like I said, I didn't even know anything about K-State being a South Florida kid. They didn't show them. So, they only show you what your Notre Dame, of course, Miami all day,
Yep.
Florida States, and a little bit of Florida down here. But anyways, that type of thing, exposure means a lot. And at those times, we didn't have social media. What you see on TV is what you know.
It's
So
great. Yeah.
I had to be talked into it, but I did my research. I looked at it. I saw the roster, and I said, "Hey, there's a couple kids here." To me, the positive I liked is there were some Florida kids on the roster.
Right.
Eric Hickson, Mike Lawrence, and some other guys, and I was like, you know what? I might be able to fit here, and I see it. I can see it. The program going in the right direction, and I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of something that's already. Then you're just a part of something that was already pre-existing. But if I'm a part of something that was growing, then I will be mentioned with those guys in the growth of that program.
And you're remembered 20 years later as a key part of what happened to K-State football. It's that worked out great. I'm a big trust your gut guy, and it sounds like you just trusted your gut. I'm going to take a leap of faith and do Kansas State. And you know what? Every bad decision I've made, my gut said, don't do this. Don't. And I talked to myself into it. Yeah. If I was a kid, I'm going to throw that snowball at that car. Not a good decision, but we're having fun. But every time I've gotten in trouble, whether big trouble, little trouble, my gut told me, don't do this. And I did it. And then all of my good decisions have come by my gut saying, go for it. dude, this is right. And I'm a big believer in it. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink, and it's kind of something I've just followed ever since reading that book.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it took a lot. My parents, from talking to Coach Stoops, speaking with Coach Snyder when he came in and visited with us at my home here. Uh, at first, they being far from home, that's kind of a hard pill to chew. But talking to them made me and my parents feel comfortable with the move. Was it easy? No, I still had to make adjustments. Once I got out there, I was homesick, but because of the environment, the people, it made it easier to like it more, and then uh, at the time call it home, an extension of home.
Everyone talks about Bill Snyder being this, great football mind, which he is, a master of offensive football. But I think his best trait is he's a great coach of coaches. He recognizes talent. And to look back and think, you had Bob Stoops and Jim Levitt recruiting Florida at the time. That's incredible because those were young guys at the time, and what they ended up being pretty substantial, particularly Bob Stoops. It's really remarkable. You look back at those early staffs and who Bill Snyder had. He could coach those coaches, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he always had coaches, gentlemen that were great leaders of men.
Yeah.
Most recent one is Coach over at Oklahoma right now, Coach Venables.
Venables. Yep.
Brett was he was a student. What do you call him? He was like a student coach. Well, I forgot what they called him, but he was helping out and staff. I remember him just running errands there. You had Mark Mangino. When I was being recruited at K-State, Mangino was a recruiting coordinator. He wasn't even a coach yet. Then he became running backs coach, O-line coach, eventually a OC. But Coach Snyder seemed to really help develop, great coaches, great people, great leaders of men, and their success. I'm not surprised when I see them be successful wherever these other coaches go, because they have great foundation. I even Coach Snyder himself, I think, came from the Iowa program under I forgot the name. I apologize, but it was one of those significant names of head coaches for the Iowa program.
Yeah.
Hayden Fry.
Hayden Fry.
So, I felt good once I knew the pedigree that I was walking into, that I was getting proper coaching. And I felt it even more when I got into the league, and I was like, you know what? I'm so glad, because a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing now, I'm prepared for.
Yeah.
Because Coach Snyder one thing about him, he don't waver on his rules and the way he have his structure. It's always stay consistent. And whether you like it or not, it's always consistent. So you have to respect it. Right. So I always respected it. And I was very glad I had that introduced to me in my life, because it also set a great foundation for me to have going into the league.
I wonder what happened to all those ball caps and jewelry that he took.
I think they're still in his cabinet. I heard he still has an office in there.
It's just amazing, man. Damion, I appreciate it so much. It's been really fun.
Yes,
and coming to Kansas State was a life-changing decision in some ways, and boy, it worked out well. It did.
Definitely so. I appreciate you having me.
One hell of a man, too. You really are.
Thank you, sir.
That was great. We started picking up some steam there, and I could have gone into a lot more, but I also promised him we'd keep it around 50 minutes, and he was wonderful. That's a good dude. That's a great guy to come in and talk to your football team. Just has it figured out. He's been through the whole process, from a raw recruit that didn't even know what side of the ball he was going to play on, to a long-time player in the NFL that now helps out coaching on a volunteer basis. Appreciate Damion making time for us and joining us and talking about how he overcame all these changes in his life to be the guy that he is now. As we depart, we're down to 2 more episodes here on this season. And that's because football season's coming sooner than ever. So we'll be in Ireland very quickly. And the last one of these will drop the week we depart for Ireland. At least the Fitzgeralds do. And men, before I let you go, remember this. If you have a history of prostate cancer in your family, or if you're African American, start getting your PSA score, your prostate specific antigen score, done by 45. All men by 50, but I think all men by 45 certainly. Stay in front of prostate cancer and you're going to win if you get it. Get behind prostate cancer and, well, you end up with all the changes in my life and a life expectancy that, well, has gone a little bit longer than I expected. But I know this. I'll be back next week with another Life of Fitz, and then another Life of Fitz, and then it's K-State football 2025. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll talk to you real soon. I appreciate you listening to this week's edition of Life of Fitz. And thank you to all the great people at Blueville Nursery for sponsoring our show. This has been a Spirit Street production.